How to answer the sales questions for an interview. Out of all the sales questions for an interview, one of the most celebrated questions is, how will you sell this pen to me? However, this video is not about that celebrated question. In this video, I'm going to share with you all the critical questions that you need to know how to handle should you wish to get a job in sales. By simply using wit and knowing how to handle all the sales questions in an interview, you will increase your chances of getting placed in that much coveted job. Given my experience in sales over the last decade, I have seen people do not prepare for an interview. Salespeople are mostly overconfident people when it comes to interviews. They feel they will wing it, they will pass through it, they will answer the questions on the spot and get the job. While everyone does not do it, most sales associates unfortunately do this all the time. Just like any job, the key is in researching for the job, understanding and structuring the questions that might be thrown at you before the interview begins. Mainly three types of categories in which you may be asked questions: value-based questions, situation-based questions, and job-related questions. Welcome guys, my name is Prithzat, and if you're new to this channel, I create educational content in sales and marketing for learners like you. I'm very excited about this video because with this video, I am starting a new series on sales which I have not done so far on this channel. Without much further ado, let's begin. How do you answer the sales questions for an interview? One of the most common questions that you may be asked is, how do you qualify your prospects? The first thing to do is research about the role. Find out if your role requires you to handle new accounts or do business development, or you need to handle existing customer base or customer relationship management. In some cases, you might be required to do both. To qualify a prospect means to find out if your potential customers need and want your products and services, whether they do have the purchasing power to buy your products and services, and if they're using the competing products and services already in the market. So the best way to tackle this question is to say something like this to the recruiter. I will ask open-ended questions to the potential customer and find out what their needs are. I will probe on the annual requirements and the price points at which the customers might buy a product or service. Most importantly, I will find out if the potential customer falls under our buyer persona or not. Because if they don't, then even if they buy product and services within our market, the price point might be way off and they might not be a right fit for us. As for existing current relationships, I will find out if things have changed with them. I will look up on the internet and find out what's going on with the company. I will also probe my counterpart managers and see what's going on in the company in terms of their budgets, whether something has changed or not. That was a pretty simple one, isn't it? The next question you may be asked is, how do you handle customer objections? See, the main purpose of this question is for the recruiter to find out how persuasive you are as a salesperson. Whether you can easily let go of the potential revenue that belongs to the company, or you're going to follow and persuade the potential customer and chase your revenue. The recruiter also wants to know your resilience and patience towards running after the revenue and closing more business for the company. After all, handling customer objections is one of the key skills that you need as a salesperson. Did you know that as per research, it takes at least 8 cold calls to find a prospect? And once you have your first meeting, it takes at least 5 follow-up calls or meetings to persuade the customer or the potential customer to take the next step. My 2 cents on this: do not invent an answer on the spot to this question. Do genuine research about your company that you're going to join and then answer to the recruiter in this way.
First, I allow the customer or the prospect to talk while I listen carefully. Next, I ask as many questions as possible to cover all the angles. Lastly, I reiterate value rather than pitching my products and demonstrate social proof. Guys, again, remember, this is very important. You want to come across to the interviewer as clearly as possible in terms of your knowledge. You want to show off to the interviewer that you know what you're talking about, how you're going to deal with the customer. And always highlight key things that will put you in a good position. For example, I like to listen carefully, right? I reiterate value rather than pitching my products. Most times what happens is that salespeople have this tendency of going out even on their first sales call and they simply start blabbering, start talking about their products and services, which is actually not a good way to sell, right? You want to first show that how you're going to bring value to the other company, to the person you're talking to, how you're going to make his or her life easier, for example, in choosing the products, in terms of pricing, in terms of making things available in a certain budget, right? And then you also want to demonstrate social proof. Social proof is nothing but you want to show that yes, you have backup. That means there are people who are going to speak good things about you. You have good reviews from other customers, or maybe you want to talk about things that you have done for the customers and how they have really liked it. So that is nothing but social proof.
Well, let us now also look at some of the specific examples that you might be thrown at during work, the kind of objections you might face, and how will you handle those objections. This will also help you in your interview.
So for example, if your customer or if your prospect has said, I'm not interested, do not call. And this is a very common objection when you're calling people, cold calling people most of the times, and they tell you that they are not interested upfront. And they also tell you do not call. So a solution to this kind of an objection is, I understand, but we have not worked together. Allow me to share some more information about us via mail. Remember, this person does not want to talk to you. So again, you're pushing email. You're saying, hey, and mind you're not pushing email. This is the way I'm telling you right now, but you are actually trying to pursue the customer in terms of other medium. I will then follow up with you after a week. Does it sound good? We already have a tie-up with someone else and we are not looking for a change. Again, a very common objection that I have personally faced during my cold calling, whether on phone or just dropping into an office. We already have a tie-up with someone else and we are not seeking any changes anymore. Thank you very much. So how do you handle such an objection? So a possible solution to this question is, or this rather objection is, it is good to know that you are working with X because they've already informed you who they are working with. So you will talk about that. May I check with you if it is going well? Are there any areas where you think they did not serve you better? I can share with you how we are different compared to them in those specific areas. You do not want to badmouth your competition. Never do that. Never say that, oh, the company X is terrible. They are bad. Their associates are bad. The company is terrible. They do not pay their associates. Customer service is terrible. Don't downmouth or maybe badmouth your competition at all. This is not salesmanship at all. Rather, put it in a way that, okay, everyone works in a certain way. I'm sure there are certain areas where you had certain expectations and your partner or your vendor has not provided the solution to you. Once you share with me what that is, maybe I can fill that gap and I can come in and make your life easier. This is the best solution that you can offer to your customer or your prospect. Call me back after 6 months. Usually you receive these objections when people are absolutely not interested, right? This is a very polite way of saying call me back after 6 months. Probably there's nothing happening in this next 6 months, right? But they still tell you these things because they just want you off their radar altogether. So a possible solution that I have used a lot of times is, and ideally, I do not know if this is the right thing that you should be saying. That also really depends on the country you're working in, because in some countries, some associates might get offended when you say something like this. But in a lot of countries where you can talk in a straightforward manner, especially in the Western countries, this is the perfect solution. Is there something planned for the next 6 months? If you're busy and I have caught you at the wrong time, what is the best time to call you next week? You see, and this is what I have done all the time. I ask, is there something happening in the next 6 months? Because you are telling me call me in the next 6 months. So maybe I'm missing out on the puzzle. Is there a merger? Is there an acquisition? Are you guys working on a new product or a service? Maybe if you tell me, maybe I'll come to know what's happening. But if that is not the case, if you're just trying to put me off because you're not interested, then if you're busy and I've caught you at the wrong time, let me know what is the best time to call you next week, the week after, 10 days after, and I'll be happy to help you.
Great. So moving on, another question that you might be asked, what do you bring to the table? Well, I'll be honest, I have asked this question many times to my potential candidates also. Now think about this. Why is a recruiter asking you this kind of a question in the first place? You see, no recruiter wants to hire an employee or a potential employee who cannot add value to the company. Mind you, we are still talking about job-related technical questions. And so, the skills that you bring to the table are very important for the job. Before you answer this question, what I want you to do is find out about your role as much as possible. Find out things about the company and use that as an advantage in terms of what you can bring to the table. For example, let's say the company that you're interviewing for or you're about to join has a very unstructured sales process and the teammates work by a fly-by-night rule at the company. So what you can do is use this gap, this unstructured way of working and fly-by-night rule, and turn that around and say, this is what I bring to the table as a value add. I will bring structure to the company, I will bring processes to the company, I will make sure that SOPs are followed. This immediately elevates you, your position as an interviewee. So this is how you're going to answer this question.
I am aware that the sales team at this company is highly talented and aggressive in the market. However, I hear from the customers in the market there are some challenges with the sales process. With my exposure in sales, I can bring in all the SOPs, which is standard operating procedures, and help the team stabilize. So you see, what you have done is that first you have shown what the gap is. You have not put it in a wrong way. You've said, I'm aware that the sales team at this company is highly talented and aggressive, but I hear that there are some challenges in the sales process. I have not begun by saying that some challenges in the sales process that might come across as criticism or me being more critical or being defensive. So first I've said that yes, your sales team is good, they're great, but I hear from the customers. This is not my opinion. I hear from the customers, I hear from others in the market that these are the challenges. And with my experience, I can fill that gap. That is what I bring to the table. I bring stability, I bring teamwork, I bring processes to the company that is missing as of today.
So far we saw and we learned about some of the questions that you may be asked that are technical or job related. Let us now look at some of the situational based questions that you might be asked in the interview. Situational based questions delve deeper into the personality of the candidate. They help the recruiters understand whether the candidate is capable to handle all types of situations at work or not. They want to know if you're able and capable to turn around all the situations in the favor of the company, whether it's related to revenue or not. Always remember that a candidate who has all the sales skills in the world but who does not know how to handle the different situations at the company, they will not be able to add value to the company and to the role. One of the questions that I have been asked a lot of times and which I've also passed on to my candidates in sales is, tell me about a time when you lost a big deal and how did you handle that situation? Now, if you're a fresher, don't worry, recruiters will not ask you this question. This question is specifically designed for those who already have some experience in sales. First thing, do not wing it. Do not lie or do not say things that are not true about you. It is wise to expect this question to come at you even before you enter the interview room. If you already have some sales experience, I'm sure you must have already used a CRM like Salesforce. What I want you to do is impartially look at your CRM and note down one of the biggest deals that you might have lost because of some reason, because I'm sure you also must have noted the reason why you lost it. Note that down and make sure that you prepare for the interview accordingly. With all sincerity, answer this question something like this.
Sure, I had 8 meetings with company X and I had finalized the draft contract after answering all the objections. When we were about to close, the CEO requested a minor change, which we could not accommodate, and we lost the deal to competition wide. The deal was worth 1 crore rupees. I've answered the first part of the question saying what took place. What was a big deal that I lost? So I've given context to that. Now I go on to the second part of the question as to how I handle this situation. The first thing I did was to inform my CEO and the entire senior management. I wrote a mail to all the internal team involved in this deal. Since this loss was due to the unavailability of so-and-so from our end, we agreed to let this one go. However, I requested a meeting between our CEOs to secure the next contract due in September. I have clearly shown the actionable steps that I took after I lost the big deal. So you also want to show the recruiter that, hey, I did lose a big deal. This was the amount. However, I did whatever I could so that I could secure my place with that deal in the future. So this is exactly how you will answer this question depending on your reality and what is happening with you. Make sure that you are as clear as possible in terms of what took place, why you lost the deal, what was the amount, and how you closed that loop and made sure that you're going to secure that deal in the future.
Right. Another question that you might be asked, tell me about a time where you went beyond your call of duty to assist, to help the client. Now, recruiters are not asking this question to make life hell for you. They're asking this question to find out how passionate you are about your role, about your work and your industry. This question is all the more important if you're in the service industry. Helping clients going beyond the call of duty is something that is expected today if you're in the service industry. In an age of cutthroat competition, how do you think you're going to segregate or separate yourself from the flock? Remember, what segregates the sales warriors from the mediocre cadets is their ability to go beyond the call of duty. They always over-deliver to the customers. Mind you, as per research, 95% of the customers will stick to a company, will be loyal to a company only because of their relationship managers, the way they exemplarily handled the relationships. How do you answer this question successfully? My 2 cents? Be that sales associate who goes beyond the call of duty to help the clients. And I'd really advise you, if you're not that person who goes beyond the call of duty, do not apply for this interview. Because even if you get the job, you will not be able to give beyond 100%. You will not be able to woo or wow your customers, and they will not stick to you forever. Well, so far we spoke about things that are external to the situation, right? Now let us talk about one of the questions that is used internally. How would you handle last-minute assignments at work? It is crucial to balance internal and external stakeholders equally to bring synergy at work. Recruiters want to know if you're a good fit in your team, as a colleague, working with your boss, and the environment you are in. It should not be that they hire you and you cause problem and dissent among the team members. If you're able to handle your work pressure well, you'll handle your teammates better, you'll be a better colleague, you'll have a better understanding with your boss. And if you do not have a better understanding with your boss, you know what will happen, right? You will leave the company. Before you answer this question, make sure you're considerate of others in the team. So to answer this question, you will say something like this.
Last year when I signed the contract with my client, I realized that she was unwell. Nonetheless, she still went on to work for us to close the deal. I bought the meds that she could not source from anywhere and had them delivered to her house. You see, the client also has gone another extra step. She was not feeling well. She came to work just to close this contract for us. And in return, what we did as a sense of gratitude is that I bought, or maybe my team, all of us together, we went out, we bought the meds that she could not source from anywhere, and we had them delivered to her house. Going beyond your call of duty, making sure things are taken care of.
Right, we have covered 2 categories. Let us talk about the third one, value-based questions. These questions help identify if you're the right fit for the company from a value perspective. For example, if the values of the candidate mismatch with that of the company, it's going to be a divorce later on. In such cases, there's no point dragging the conversation and the interview any further. No matter how good you are as a candidate, if your values do not match with that of the company, you will be demotivated. Eventually, you will leave the company. I can tell you this from my personal experience. I have had different values where I've worked with companies with different values, and eventually I have not stayed longer. I've had to leave those companies. So make the right investment. Make sure that you join a company where you feel you are the right match from a value perspective. This is very, very important. One of the common questions that people ask in this category is, why do you think we should hire you? There are some experts who believe that this question is absolutely irrelevant and should be banned in the first place. My 2 cents, I think this is also an inappropriate question to ask to an interview. On the contrary, I feel it should be the interviewee who should be asking this question to the company. Hey, why do you think I should join your company? But we are living in an imperfect world, and so people ask this question, and I want to prepare you for this question. Again, there are 2 objectives why recruiters ask this question. First of all, from value perspective, and otherwise outside the purview of sales, how fit you are to the overall environment of the company you are about to join. Now, this question can also be asked as, what values do you bring to the table? Again, do thorough research of the company before answering this question. And then you can say something like this.
My values completely resonate with what your company stands for, especially the fact that the company has an open door policy. There is no entitlement given to anyone. Is a rare thing. It makes me want to be part of your thriving organization. Our values match. What you believe in is exactly what I believe in. Our values resonate with each other, especially the fact that the company has an open door policy, which I really love in my personal life. or my professional life, this is something I don't want favors, I don't want entitlement. I see your company believes in merit. There is no nepotism, there is no favoritism, and this is a rare thing in today's world, and I'm part of it. And you should hire me because this is a complete match between our values.
Another question that you might be asked is, what core values of the company do you like the most? You must research this question, because recruiters will ask you this question because they want to know how much time you have spent in getting to know them as a company. For example, have you gone to their website? Have you found out what products and services they are selling? What latest news they have? What mergers and acquisitions they're going to enter in the next few months? Recruiters want to understand that you know what you're going to get into, that you really care about the job and the company, and you're not looking simply to make some cash as a transaction. Make sure that you pick up something that really puts the company in a better stead compared to the competition. Pick that difference up and answer this question something like this.
I'm impressed by the progressive view on inclusion and diversity. I wish to highlight the last press release of the X campaign that the prominent leaders of the city appreciated. Again, what you're doing here, you're being very specific. You are telling the company that I'm not here for a transaction, I'm not here for a monetary transaction, I'm not here for a job because I need a job. I'm here trying to join your organization because this is where I belong, this is what I want to do, I want to work with you. And so you're being very specific as to demonstrating the recruiter that you have done your homework on the company. I'm impressed by the progressive view on the inclusion and diversity, very specific. And you're going further specific. I wish to highlight the last press release, which was appreciated by the who's who of the city. So you're putting the company on a pedestal, which they rightly deserve. And you are also saying that, hey, I want to be part of it, and I'm really impressed, I've done my homework, and I want to be part of your company.
Another question that you might be asked is, and you will be asked probably, is what expectations do you have from us? You see, we are still talking about values, be it monetary or otherwise. Make sure that you answer this question as transparently as possible. Do not hesitate in terms of what you want from the company. Remember, you are a salesperson, and salesperson are vocal about their clients, about what they stand for, what their clients stand for. They stand behind their clients, they stand behind their rocks, their pillars to the company for their client. Recruiters want to see how vocal you are about the things that you want, what good you are as a sales candidate. If you cannot stand for the things that you want, how will you stand for things for your client, or how will you fight with the company for your client? They want to know that you are someone who has the ability to stand ground. They want to know if you can put your point across in a way that does not put off the clients or the company. At the same time, you're affirmative about the things that you want. It's a fine balance. Again, depending on what you want, be as free and talk to the interviewer as freely as possible. Do not worry about the consequences. Of course, make sure that you follow the decorum of the interview and answer this question. At this point in time, do not worry that answering this question will make you lose this opportunity. Don't hesitate. Say something like this to the interviewer.
I expect that I will get to grow and learn in my job role. I hope to spend the weekends with my family and maintain a work-life balance. Do not overdo this, but 3 to 4 key points should do the trick. At this point in time, because you're a salesperson, I'm being a bit biased, but yes, if you're a salesperson, you should be more vocal when it comes to what you want. Do not shy away, or do not feel that you might not get the job just because you answer this question truthfully or honestly or directly. But make sure that you're clear. At the same time, you maintain a balance in terms of how you do not go overboard, but make sure you put your point across. I hope to spend the weekends with my family. I know, because I'm in sales, I know that this might not be possible sometimes, that we are also working the weekends. And so I'm making it clear right now in the interview, hey, I hope to spend the weekends with my family. I will be there with you 100% Monday to Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, please, I would really want to spend my time with my family and maintain work-life balance. That means maybe after 7 p.m., please, I do not want to continue working. I do not want to maybe receive calls when I'm at home or at my private time. I don't want any of those things.
Well, we have covered all the three categories, and you see, again, there are so many questions that you might be asked within these three categories in a sales interview. Ideally, most questions are asked, whether in sales or not, to find out more about the candidate, to unveil the real person within you. Again, there is no one right answer to handle a particular question in an interview. A lot of it depends on the company you're joining, the country in which you're joining, your background, the role that you're applying for, the position that you're applying for. If you're applying for a job role that is based abroad or which is overseas, make sure that you answer the questions keeping the culture in mind. That's about it, guys. We have covered enough ground. I hope this video will help you to prepare for your next sales interview. Have I missed any question in this video? Feel free to comment in the section below, and I'll be happy to include those in my next video. Also, don't forget to share with me in the comments how you have handled these questions during your interview and what your experience has been so far. Well, at this point in time, I'm going to ask you to do one of the best things that you can do right now is subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell icon. That way you'll never miss another video coming out of my stable. Make sure that you like this video and share it with as many people as possible who you think can benefit from this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, adios.